I definitely thought I picked like an ambient noise that also had music, and I didn't. So hold on, let's change that. There we go. Now we'll have some background music while we talk. We're almost ready. One of our panelists is just having some tech issues, and it was sure like it was working, and we could see them and everything. It was just the captions that weren't. But then in trying to fix like the sound, like make her computer recognize the right mic for captions, all of a sudden everything else has like gone to shit. No. We can maybe get started. I don't want to start book chat, so, but I can chat with other friends. Things all the cameras are going to be all wonky, and we're in 4-person mode, not 3-person mode. Da-da-da. We can fix it. Alright. Hello, I'm just gonna undeafen and see if I can help with the troubleshooting while we do things.
Unfortunately, all I can offer is moral support.
Yeah. Well, because basically what this started as we were just checking to make sure her computer sound settings was recognizing the right microphone, and therefore Google Chrome would also recognize the right microphone, and therefore the captions would work. But somehow this is...
Somewhere got lost along the way.
I
still have
bad.
a moderately simplified setup, so my mic is still just a USB mic.
Same, as is mine. And
yeah.
Now I feel bad because, like, obviously we could hear her, things were fine, but for the sake of the captions, I did this. Oh no. Hi, Rhodey. We're just trying to troubleshoot a ting, but then we'll get started. Give it a little more time, and if it gets too difficult, then we might be down to 3 of us. That would be sad. We might be at the hard restart option. Because that's always the classic turn it off and on again, right? That always fixes things.
Yes, go ahead and try shutting it down. And then just do a quick restart of your PC, alright? We got time.
Yeah, I'm pseudo IT at my company, which really says a lot. And most of it is, did you try to turn it off and turn it back on again?
That's always the first thing, right? If y'all want, I'm down to go to the other page and you can see those of us who are on cam, but it's going to be all probably not in line with the overlay. Or you can just listen to our lovely voices and we'll leave it on this cozy screen while we troubleshoot.
You just said cozy scream.
Screen?
Yes, I know,
it is
but
quite
you
cozy.
said... Yes, it is. But it was just the idea of a cozy scream. And I'm like, oh wait, is this horror movie night?
Well, I mean, one of the games I'm most excited for this year is calling itself a cozy horror game, and I'm kind of here for it. Imagine if Stardew Valley was a horror game. It's called Grave Seasons, and it's like a farming sim, so you do all the Stardew Valley-esque things, but one of the townsfolk is also a serial killer, and people start dying, and you've just simultaneously tried to find out who the serial killer is, and every playthrough, it randomizes who it is, so you could marry this and romance the serial killer and not know on a playthrough. Like, how incredible does that sound?
Consider me obsessed. I looked it up on Steam. It's now on my wish list.
And the graphics are hella cute. The character designs are great and very inclusive. So, yeah.
What makes me think of is something, a writing group that I used to be, well, it started off as a writing group, like helping each other and encouraging each other, and it just sort of became a social Discord. And then I had to lock it because we got way too comfortable sharing our personal information with each other. And when, like, somebody posted, I got my driver's license, and straight up put a picture in general chat, I was like, and no one is ever being added to this Discord again.
Nope.
The people who are currently here can stay, but because everybody in that community is very tight-knit. I mean, we don't talk a lot, but, like, one of our members, they got married. I attended their wedding. 2 members of that community got married. I was at their wedding.
I mean, we had a whole table at my wedding last year that was just people I know because of Twitch/D&D, so it was very exciting.
Nerd shit.
Yeah.
What we did was we would do a writing round robin.
Ooh.
And the best one was always at Halloween.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. And what we would do is we would have an image for inspiration, just randomly. And it would be like something from DeviantArt, so we could easily give credit to the artist. And then we would just send it to each other in DMs. And at the very end, myself or Astrid would do an edit, kind of like a grammar check, and would smooth out transitions between writers. So it was really a lot of fun. And if this book club takes off, I think we could do something like that.
Oh, okay.
And just a short story, nothing like we did before, because what we did before would take like 2 hours to read.
Hold on. We're gonna switch things on the fly. Give me a minute, because it does look like we're going down from a 4-person to a 3-person, at least visual format. But that is just because, again, I feel so bad. We use a captions thing called Pixel Chat, and I have an overlay for 3-person and for 4-person, and Pixel Chat was not playing nicely with Marjorie's microphone, so I was like, oh, can you try this? And in doing the thing I suggested, it made everything break, and I feel like I'm gonna make her all stressed, and I feel really bad. But it happens. And hopefully she chooses to join us in the chat. And it's all good. I'm just now going to edit to the cams on the fly. This was all done before, but when there was 4 of us. Because again, things were working for a while, and then they weren't.
Things work until they don't work.
And we have a new person with us today. A new guest, a first-timer for our book club. We have Risa Phoenix, who I've known for a while from Level Select, joining us. And I'm very excited, because Risa's always been a very articulate person, and I always value her fascinating opinions.
Oh, no.
Hello? What the heck is happening? Oh, gosh. Okay, there we go.
I'm moving.
Yes, you are. It's very exciting.
Well, here's the thing. When Laura Force started editing, it was really a lot of fun because she cut her face off. It was just like her lower jaw was just bopping.
Yep.
It was adorable.
Okay. There we go.
Nice. Well done, well done.
There we go.
Oh,
it's fine.
Icons. How have I never noticed those?
Yeah, you all saw nothing. Nothing happened. Everything was perfectly fine. We've had no tech issues. It's fine. We just have Creative Desires, as you see in the chat. I'll give her a little shout out right now. She's also an incredible creator. AKA Marjorie was supposed to be joining us, and I broke everything on her computer from my remote place because I'm a bad person. So she's gonna have to be in the chat giving us her opinions, because she also read the book we're discussing today, which is Lore of the Wilds by Analeigh Sbrana. Again, the whole list of books we picked from to talk about this month were all by Black authors and featuring Black characters, because it is Black History Month. Just in case anyone doesn't know, about what rock you live under, if you wouldn't know. But it is Black History Month, so make sure you're reading diversely and supporting Black artists, Black creators, as you should all year, not just in February, but especially in February. Maybe take some time and find some new creators that you haven't interacted with before and show them some love and new books. Risa, since it's your first time joining us for Twitch Book Club, if you want to give us a quick little, if you want to, if you can also not, if that makes you anxious, but just like what sort of stuff you do online, maybe what sort of your generally favorite like genres to read, book preferences, just anything. If you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into things.
How to describe me? Okay, so there are books that I love to read, and I will read until I have to buy a whole new set of a series because I wore the bindings out.
Same.
I don't do the face down, break the bindings thing. I don't dog ear. I just read the book so many times. So let's give you a quick snapshot of my bookshelf, because that's a great way to do me.
I love it.
We're going to go Lillian Jackson Braun. The Cat Who book series is, let's see how to describe it. It's a mystery, but it's very chill, and you follow this reporter, this older gentleman, who ended up accidentally with this Siamese cat,
Cute.
Coco. And has some unusual behaviors. And when Coco's behaviors get very odd, there's usually a murder involved, a mystery. And it is definitely a fun, enjoyable read. It's a huge book series. I've gone through 2 copies.
Nice.
I'm a massive, across-the-board fan of Anne McCaffrey.
Ooh, approve. Solid choice. Lovely. And also for anyone watching, myself and Rissa have captions in Pixel Chat. Ryza does not, because part of it's like I forget that other browsers exist, and I didn't give Ryza advance notice that Chrome is required to use the caption software of choice that I do. But then also I didn't want to they'd be like, hey, can you install this thing that you clearly don't want to use and never will use just for me? So if you are a captions user, I do apologize that you do not have Ryza's thoughts on captions, and that's on me. That's my bad. But 2 out of 3.
You just didn't want me recorded, that's all. Okay, I understand. No, I'm fine. And I think I'll take it to the other end of the spectrum, and we're going to go with Laurel K. Hamilton, modern fantasy. Very spicy. Very spicy.
We love spice.
Oh.
We read spice over
shelf.
here.
Oh, yeah. She's top shelf, A-level spice. Laurel K. Hamilton wrote an entire book because before she made the super spicy books, somebody said there was too much sexual tension in her books. So she wrote an entire book.
So she's like, you want more? Got you.
Ask and you shall receive.
So officially, when I heard that, I was like, and I'm in love with this woman. She is brilliant and wonderful. Look at that sass. But you can also see Craig Allenson on my bookshelf. He did The Expeditionary Force.
Does not ring a bell.
Well, The Expeditionary Force is he did the Amazon publishing.
Okay.
So, 2/3 of the books don't have page numbers.
Amazing.
Forgetting to click the little box. But Expeditionary Force is adorable and a lot of fun, and you're starting to see Skippy the Magnificent references on the internet. I'm starting to see memes
that's
about
exciting.
Skippy, and it comes from this book series.
Oh, I love it.
Fun.
Yeah, Skippy is a pain in the ass jackass beer can who also happens to be a super self-aware AI.
Oh, good. I already have nightmares about AI taking over the world.
Well, this is
fun AI, she says.
You will very quickly learn and understand and agree with the urge by most of the characters in the book to put Skippy in the torpedo launcher and shoot him into a sun.
Oh, shit.
Even if it's possible that you won't survive and neither will the sun, you still kind of want to do it.
I understand that urge. The amount of times I go, this is probably a terrible idea and going to end badly for me, but do I still want to do it? Yeah.
Yes. It's actually required now.
All right. So as you can tell, Ryza probably reads a bit more across the genres than I have recently. I'm someone who reads, there's very few book genres I dislike. I will read everything, but I obviously clearly tend to just fall into and stick to one the most. We are going to disrupt. We've been in a fantasy/romantasy theme so far on our Twitch book club. And I don't know what the next one we're going to pick is, but the one after that we'll read in March to talk about in April, I am doing a bit of a thing. Part of it's because my birthday's in March, so I'm claiming it's because of birthday privilege, but also nice. Are you you don't have to say exactly early month, late month?
Pisces.
Same.
Very end of Pisces.
Okay. Nice. You're probably then a bit after me because I'm earlier. But anyways, shout out to Pisces. So because of birthday privilege and also because a book I'm very excited for is coming out that month, and it'll be our first nonfiction book that we'll read for book club. I'm just gonna ultimatum it and say this is what we're reading for the month of March. And all those who want to join, please do. Ryza, I got Sam from Level Select to join book club just for this book because he only reads nonfiction. It's going to be Hank Green's new book, which is also now hella terrifyingly timely because it's called, hold on, I can't remember the exact title right now, but it's about the history and the ridiculous situation that is tuberculosis as a disease, because that's a cause he's raised lots of like funds and awareness for, and John Green's very passionate about, but also about how it's one of those diseases that we could literally eradicate it from the world tomorrow if we wanted to. It only still exists because of, you know, all the other things like capitalism, billionaires, rich privilege, and withholding from other countries and all these things, and just a blight on humanity that we could literally get rid of if we want to. And it's extra timely now because there's tuberculosis outbreaks in the freaking US for the first time in decades because of a certain orange felon. And anyways, it's going to be a very timely read. And I read the occasional nonfiction. The last one he wrote was the Anthropocene Reviewed, and it was fantastic. Highly recommend. So anyways, we will be dipping our toes out of the fantasy world in the nearish future on Twitch Book Club, but we have had a fantasy bias for a little while. But it's just because I make a list of books and there's a range of genres on the books, and then I let people in the Discord vote, and that's just been what's been winning so far. You know, it is what it is.
No, I could completely sway like the voting. All I would have to do is take a picture of a page in one of the books from the Pitch Queen, the Cartherian Gambit series, post that, and everybody be like, hold on, I need to read this.
Hey, and I encourage any and all lobbying. Like, you're in the general section of the Discord, if you want to like make a pitch, like, please everyone vote this book, here's why, whether it's excerpts, whether it's whatever, whether it's just like, here's my elevator pitch, please, we should read this, you're welcome. Like, lobbying for whatever book on that list is encouraged. Highly recommend. And people are allowed to vote for more than one book, so it's also not like you can only pick one and then you're locked in. If you voted for one, but then someone says, oh, here's like an excerpt from this book, and you go, oh, well, now I really want to read that, then vote for that one too, because it's just based on reactions, right, to things. So if you want to maybe help us break out of the, not that it's a problem, fantasy niche we've been in, then please join the Discord, vote on future books. And we are now about to jump into the book we're here to talk about today, but I also wanted to really quickly, because it finally came and it's so cute. I got this book in the mail. It's called A Tale of Princes, Poets, and Personal Interest, and it's written by a Twitch streamer. It's their first like self-published book, who I was on a stream with her doing like a charity event, and then she mentioned, like, we were talking about book stuff, and then she mentioned she'd written a book, and it sounds adorable and really cute and really fun, and she was a joy to be on stream with, so I was like, I'm gonna buy your book and I'm gonna read it.
That's so fun.
So yeah, again, A Tale of Princes, Poets, and Personal Interests. The author is Lydia Rowe, R-O-W-E. Her stream name is Little, L-Y-D-L, Button.
Flipped. Don't look in front of the camera when it's flipped.
Yeah.
Made my eyeballs
Sorry, I forget it flipped. But yes, A Tale of Princes, Poets, and Personal Interest is the title. Anyways, just a shout out, because of course in the indie author scene is hard. So shout out to her. She wrote a book. Anyways. The book we are here to talk about today is called Lore of the Wilds by Analeigh Sbrana, and we usually start where everyone will give their like spoiler-free general impressions and overall ratings, but after that, spoilers are fair game. Oh my god! Speak of the devil! Look who's here! Lydia, I was literally, we were literally, I had just finished talking about your book. That's so funny. We are just transitioning to talking about the book we're here for today, but I was just pitching your book, and this will be on our list of books to vote for next for the books we read in February, BT dubs. So you all can vote for this and find it. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome. We're just about to jump into discussion for the book we read last month. Because we pick a book, we have a month to read it, and then I try within the first week of the next month to have these streams, because everyone reads at a different pace, and while some people can read a book in a few days, some they need the whole month. So right now, we're on a 1 book a month pace. In a few months, we'll see if we start doing bi-weekly, maybe we have separate books, who knows. This is a very new thing that I have just started, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So, we'll start with our overall impressions, spoiler-free of this book, and your rating, and then after that, all bets are off. We'll be spoilery, so after we give our initial impressions, if you want to read the book we're discussing, which is Lore of the Wilds, then tap out and come back and watch the rest of this on YouTube or Twitch VOD after you've read it. And we were supposed to have a fourth person here, Creative Desires. She was having tech issues. I feel partially responsible because I suggested the thing that caused the tech issues. But she will be in the chat also, hopefully giving us her opinions as well, thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, because she read the book. And yes, everyone please go check out Lydia, both as a streamer and read her book. Read her book. Anyway. So, I will say, don't worry, Rissa. This will not be like last stream because you will not be an island. I did not like viscerally dislike this book the way, well, the last one even viscerally is a strong word, but I definitely disliked the last one a lot. This one, I was like, I had a good time. This was okay. I felt like this book has the seeds of like goodness and there's lots of things I liked. It's almost like if I could take these characters and this plot and this world and give it to a different author, which might be offensive, and I'm so sorry, Miss Sbrana. You definitely like can do better than I could. I'm not a writer, but I just want some like but less so than the other one. The other one I was like, there's other also just gaping issues with the content. This one I just felt like with different editing and a different author or more time. This felt like I was reading like a first or second draft. And I feel like we could have gotten somewhere a little more polished with it. So I still gave it a 3 stars. As Penaranda, I think Chloe C. Penaranda or something was the last book we read. The stars were 9.
My bad, it started with a P.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, I would give this book 3 out of 5 because again, my rating is if I finished a book, it's an automatic 3 because it means I liked it enough to finish it. So 3 is a like, 4 is a love, and 5 is a like. This has changed me forever, and I'm going to reread this, and it will stick with me for reasons. So this was like, I liked it. I would not read it again. I had some issues with it, and there's definitely a lot that could improve it, but I didn't dislike it. I had a good time. My general thoughts. Rissa, what about you? Since I think Ryza is going to be the most critical of the book, so we'll go Ryza last.
Oh, we're going to be a good combination of discussions then, because I, as we have previously discussed, I'm a very simple bitch. And I had a good time. And I just love reading the character descriptions. I love the imagery that the book gives me. I'm just here to have a good time and just meander my way through. And that book accomplished that for me. Also, as a disclaimer for people who have not been here before, I am someone who votes things 5 stars unless something drastically annoying or horrible happens, and then I go down. I start at 5 and I go down. So this book was 5 stars. And also,
there you go.
I recommended it, so I'm biased.
Rissa's quiet. I'll turn her up. I'll turn her up for you. There we go.
I'm not going to be really loud, but if I get closer, is it better?
Oh, boy.
Yes, please stay right there.
You would have yelled at my mic right after you said you turned me up. I was like, that'll go bad.
Yeah, because I did turn you up.
No. Get back up close and personal with me. I enjoyed that.
Welcome to book club. How's everyone doing this evening?
Wonderful to have you here today.
As I'm speaking of fantastic voices,
book club.
Because Ryza is one of my favorite voices on the internet, and I want Ryza to read me audiobooks at some point in my life. I want an audiobook narrated by her, for reals. Ryza, tell us your thoughts on this book.
Writing thing, I will read it for you.
Yeah.
All right, so I took some notes just to put my head back in it, and the first thing I wrote was pacing.
Yes.
I feel like this author had somebody else in her ear. And I want to punch that person. And to go the fuck away. I really do feel like there are times when you get in there and you're just like, yes, I feel with her. I am with this main character. I'm with these supporting characters. So I absolutely feel like that there is talent in this author. But there is something, and I feel like this is her first book.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I don't know if it is, but that's what it read like to me. To me, it reads like author who has a promising career, author has potential, lots of things I liked, but has not honed their craft yet, and this was like they're dipping the toes in the water. But I could be wrong. And again, all personal opinion. And just a disclaimer, especially if you're a raider, come in here before, obviously, review spaces, first of all, you're an author, don't look at reviews, in my opinion, and this heavily discourse, but avoid things of critical or reviews of your own books, because reviews are for readers and spaces like that, and everything's subjective in the end. And even if someone or lots of people hate your book, there is at least a niche of people out there who will love it. So reading is so subjective. Even our rating scales, the three of us here, are wildly different. So don't get too critical about things like that. And there's a space and a book for everyone, and we're not here to yuck your yum. If you like the books we're talking about and we're trashing them, it's not like we're saying therefore you are wrong and your opinion is invalid. They're just our opinions. And vice versa. If we're raving about a book and you're like, I hated that, that's fine, you can hate it, but we had a good time.
So yes, a lot of when I read this book, I could see the originality. I could see the influences of a couple of authors that I'm familiar with. Like there's a couple of genres that I'm pretty certain my bookshelf and her bookshelf, they got some shared interests there. So I was really glad to see some of those with the pacing, and there's someone else, because there were times when I would stop and I'd flip back a couple of pages and go, there's something missing. Did you feel that?
I felt it in the beginning. Ironically, I didn't feel it as much in the second half. Because, like, I remember part of this book, okay, starting now, we're getting into mild spoilers and we'll get more specific as we go. This is your warning. It does involve, like, a bit of a love triangle-ish that only really comes into play towards the end. But there's, like, primary love interest or developing love interest for the first half, and then that person has to go away for a while, and there's a new love interest who develops in the second half, and then eventually they're all brought back together, and it's like, oh shit, now I gotta figure things out. And I thought the second one, like, there was a lot of, like, not full-on time skips, but, like, almost like montages and paragraphs that, like, talked about how, like, weeks passing and things that were happening, but it did it in a way that didn't feel bad to me, whereas the first part of the book, it seemed not done as well. Like, it was a bit more jarring. Like, all of a sudden I'd be like, oh shit, it's been months or it's been weeks, and it felt like disruptive when reading it, whereas in the second half it wasn't as much so. But I don't know if that was actually like it just got better, or maybe I got more used to it and I found them less jarring. I don't know.
I didn't find it. No, I literally want to go back and reread this a second time, because the first time is always just get in and look at it.
Impressions, general thoughts, yeah.
And then second reading for me is usually where I go, okay, let me hear the author's voice. So the pacing, it feels like somebody went in with a knife and took away paragraphs and pages of this book, and I want to find them and show them what you do with a knife.
It's funny because we almost feel like, my thought was it felt the opposite, where I thought it's like there needed to be an outside influence, like, but maybe who knows what it was. Either way, it definitely felt like there's good stuff there, but someone has made some poor choices. And to me, my immediate thought was, oh, there was a lack of an editor or a lack of something, and that's why. Whereas yours is, no, there's been a bad editor here, or there's been a bad outside influence here.
Look at the publisher. I'm fairly certain she had an editor.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain she had an editor. Let's see, then of course there was the editing. Then I wanted the next part of my notes is just going to be in the post. We are talking spoilers now, actually.
Full spoilers. Full spoiler territory.
But yes, for the author, I feel like her character building, like when you feel the characters, very good.
Yes.
She definitely's got a thing where you can feel the character and see them in your mind. And there are times when you're in the world with them, but the world is very nebulous, sort of vaguely there.
To me, it almost just had like an issue where it's either, there are times, and I had this issue in the last book as well, but in a slightly different way, where I have a real big problem when I feel like characters are not inquisitive enough, or like there's massive questions. And it's one thing if it's a question that we as a reader know because we are the omnipotent, we're seeing things the characters don't see, so we have these questions. But when it's like a direct question the character themselves also have about their world or their trajectory or their story, and they're not really caring to like figure out the answer to that or do anything to like work towards figuring that out, it drives me nuts. But this one I couldn't tell if it was that or if it's just like the character already has a background, like for example the whole lore about how her people got there and everything. And to me, it feels like I have an accepted answer and it's still not a great answer, but I'm going with it. I'm like, okay, well then can we know a little bit more about it? Because I feel like you're talking about things as if I should also know them, and I don't. And then the second half, it was like less. I don't know. I just that part bothered me, and I couldn't tell whether it was character lacks curiosity or drive to solve these problems, or a character has already got an answer and accepted it, and we as the reader are not privy to that answer.
It felt very religious in the just general acceptance of what it was, in the terms of they even talk about not a christening, but obviously where there's a moment where they get to look into what is a telescope, but they don't call it a telescope, and they get to see the stars. And I thought that was interesting because I don't know if they can question it that much, because they don't really have an accurate, I guess, either description or log of their history. And I'm wondering if that's part of it, where it's they kind of have created answers based on things that have either been passed down or things that they've created to be an answer. And there's just, in their world, I feel like that's not the most important thing that they want to question or like analyze.
The
so
thing
they
I
do
find
glaze over. It does
interesting-
feel like we don't know things that they already know, but she doesn't need to get into it in that context of her story at that time.
The other thing though, the very first chapter, the opening of the book, implies there is gatekept knowledge or different theories, because she talks about how as a kid her mom would tell her one version of their gods and their history, but then the like overarching socially accepted version was different. So I'm like, okay, well, why does your mom have a different one? And why are you so... And she just chalks it up to, I guess she just told it differently. I'm like, no, that is not an acceptable answer. Come on.
Yeah.
Question
No,
this.
Yeah, she does it a couple
Actually, it
times.
Human psychology, sociology, yes, it is possible for that to happen.
Oh, I mean, as a reader, it's, maybe then it's not an acceptable. It's a less satisfying answer, and I would hope there's a more interesting one as a like author. But and yeah, like Marjorie saying, it just felt like things were missing, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like the psychology, sociology side of things is less prevalent in this because their community, based on the descriptions that we have in the interactions and exposure we get, it feels like it's too small to have that much of a variant unless the variant is intentional or purposeful, which is where it gets a little confusing, because if we're getting one story from the mom and a different story elsewhere, why do we have that much of a difference in a community that is not big enough
Very
to have
small.
that many not rebels but questioners is
Creative
the
thinkers.
yeah, it was like whatever very smart word there is for that. I feel like there's not enough critical thinking amongst them to create that much difference in variations. So I don't know. I'm curious.
I feel like I want to read the second book and find out.
Yeah, because the second book I feel like is also gonna like, because I do think it was what got me like through it, not through it like I was struggling, but the part that made me be like, all right, figure out later, was it definitely feels like the author intends to answer these questions, whether the character decides she needs those answers or not. Like, it's gonna come, and it feels like it's being set up. Eventually there's gonna be reveals of this kind of information that we're all searching for in the later books. If not, I'd be deeply concerned. Like, you had all the tools, they were right there. Also, though, the ending
is when the next book comes out.
There we go. The ending was my second favorite part of the book, because I was predicting one twist like the whole way of the book. I was like, I guarantee you, I guarantee you the Lord who was nice to her, this full spoilers again, reminder, at the very beginning, so it's like, hey, Fae mean to humans, Fae treat humans like shit, but there's like 1 to 2 of them being nice to you, right? And one of them, it's like, oh, nice Lord, nice powerful Fae being so nice to me. Oh, how could this be? Oh, such a great guy. And I was, and same with the like guy she goes attached to, her like soldier escort bodyguard. I was like, he's absolutely turning on you, 100%. I was like, someone is gonna turn, someone's gonna pull a if only there was someone who loved you from Frozen moment, where the good guy is not a good guy. And I was positive it was going to be the Fae Lord, not her escort, and it was going to be the fox, because throughout the book there was a little fox she kept interacting with, and it was just like an almost like passive thing or world building thing. It wasn't full on like a character. And then the fox showed up at a few pivotal moments but didn't really do anything. And I was positive that he was going to shapeshift into the fox. And it's like, hey, all those times you had this cute interaction with this fox. No, he was doing something to fuck with you, and now he's a bad guy. But I was only half right. Because that didn't happen, but it was him. But it was, so I liked that.
My theory, my entire first read.
So I liked the mislead, and I like when an author, because I feel very smug when I can predict a plot twist. So I liked that there was parts of it I did not call, and other things like that. So I liked the ending was my second favorite part of the book. And will make me read the next one because it ends very much on a cliffhanger. Even though I think it was written kind of clunkily. Like the plot element of the cliffhanger was good. It was written a bit clunky in my opinion, but I want to read it.
It felt very like, and we're done.
Yeah, it was very abrupt. Very abrupt. And now the other, so then I guess regarding the twist, so you also were with me on the fox. We were like predicting this fox is, and apparently the fox is just a fox so far, as we know.
No,
the fox is the familiar-esque that transforms into the moth and hides on the back of our neck.
Yes. But the fox is not one of the humanoid so far characters that we have seen.
So far as we know, not humanoid.
Yes.
And for
magical
context, this is also my
spirit.
second reading of this book.
Oh, okay.
So I knew that going in, which was very interesting to be able to pick up on different details and go, oh, as I'm going through. So that was fun.
Suddenly you get a different card the moment Asher came back. You were like, huh? Yep.
Okay, so I had a huge problem with Asher's disappearances and reappearances.
Yeah.
And Isla, and then that ending just pissed me off.
Well, the other thing, I felt like she just and my other biggest critique of the book, this character, for someone who comes from a very isolated and insular community, and has all this reason, built up reasons to distrust heavily everyone from outside that community, she so quickly just gives people the benefit of the doubt and gets attached to so many people. Like, so guard, also I'm blanking really bad on names, like guard number 1, and then Isla and Isla's brother, very quickly she's like, okay, they're cool, and becomes besties with them. Their father, okay, cool, we're besties. The Fey Lord was nice to her one time. It's like, all you have to do is be nice to this girl, and she thinks that's great. And I'm like,
the Fey Lord was nice to her once, and she shied away from him because, like, he was trying to be nice and sweet and seem all debonair and charming, and he reaches out to touch her, and she's like, please don't touch me. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But Asher is the guard.
There we go. Yeah.
How do you forget one of the main characters, woman?
Because again, that's what I mean, like the vibes. Because again, that boils down my issue with the book. The vibes and the plot and the setting and like the overall like components that make up the characters were good and enough that I enjoyed it. Again, 3 stars just because I read it and I liked it a good time. But clearly, it's not getting a 4 or 5 because it's not the thing that's ingrained in my memory. I'm not going to go read fan fiction. I'm not going to go to Reddit and look up theories. I'm not going to like make this book my personality for a few weeks, you know? So
yeah.
Clearly, that's how much I felt about him.
I
liked her second love interest way more than the first one in the triangle, personally.
I don't understand any of the love interests at all. Like, where's Gray? Who's Gray?
Isn't that the friend from her?
Yes, that's
the friend from home.
Friend.
Yeah,
But
it's friends.
It's the it's like the Katniss, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Gale.
That vibe. Thank you, Gale.
But see, I liked that though, because I was waiting for it to be that where it's like, oh, he's not your friend. He's been secretly pining for you, and heteronormativity, we can't be friends because we're the opposite sex. So I was glad that at the moment it stayed that way. I was relieved that he was not a love interest. I was like, thank fuck for that.
She deserves platonic love in her life and not just familial or romantic, which is really nice to see in those two.
That's true. That is very true. I do agree with that. That having that, agape love.
And the reason I think I like the second, which again, names, blanking, terrible person. I can remember like the main Finn?
Yeah, because it's Finnegan is the whole name, or Finian, what's the whole name?
Something like that. But I liked him a lot more, maybe less of a character, but I liked their relationship a lot more because again, first of all, it felt like they had lots of time to build it up, and she described the activities they were doing. They were teaching each other something. They were spending lots of time together. She also helped like improve his family. You could see him warming up to her. Like it made so much sense, and I could so easily like see that happening in my mind. Like see the movie montage time skip of him letting his guard down and her like getting closer to him, especially because like, you know, like teaching each other something, sharing knowledge and sharing skills, I just find is an underrated activity, an underrated thing to do with your significant other and or love interest. Teach each other something. It's fun.
Absolutely loved that part of the book was when she was working with him and learning with him.
Because again, Asher just felt like he good with sword, he nice to you. Oh, I love him now. And I'm like, really?
There was that moment. There was several times very early when they introduced Asher that he touched her and she had a physical reaction
Mm-hmm.
that she couldn't explain, but he seemed to be able to predict, like he expected it. Did you see those moments?
No, but I'm intrigued now. Because again, that makes me then wonder, it's like, okay, are we doing that's just a way the author's using to communicate insta-love without bad exposition? That, like, look how others try to touch her, she shies away. He touched her and she innately thought it was fine. And I'm like, do I like or dislike that? Because part of me is like, I don't know.
Are you talking about the ways in which he, like, looked almost for a reaction or was watching for a reaction when he did it?
Pleased that she seemed to have a reaction to his touch.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
That pleased was like, why is he? Because we're inside her head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why is he pleased? Because he can't be inside her head.
Mm-hmm.
So why is he pleased? Which made me suspicious of Asher very quickly.
Can he?
Well, because even their first interaction, I don't know if it's their very first, but the first like longer conversation or the first major moment of, oh, like Faye not treating me like shit. She's in like communal dining hall and everyone, of course, is like treating her, I would say like she has the plague, but in a post-COVID world, I don't trust anyone to actually give a shit about social distancing anymore. But everyone's treating her like garbage and like she is something to be feared and or spat on or both at the same time. And he's the only one who will like interact with her, sits with her, like helps her figure out because she gets lost going home. But again, right away, I'm like, I'm so distrustful. I'm like, what is your motivation here? Is it just supposed to be like you're the one person in this whole society who's just not a piece of garbage and not racist and not whatever, and so you're gonna be nice to her? It just felt like I was waiting for a reason, and then what I wanted was a reason, and then he develops, like, you know, he grows as a person and gains like empathy, understanding, and starts dismantling his own systemic prejudices and stuff. I didn't like that it was just, oh, he's just this like one innately good person in this group of assholes. I don't know. I find it weaker and less interesting to read than someone dismantling their own bullshit in their head and learning to treat people better.
Finn did that, dismantling his prejudice.
Exactly.
I got to watch that.
Exactly.
Later in the book. I found the break almost romance formula-esque for a love triangle.
Oh, like the convenient excuse for him to leave so she can bond with the other guy?
Yes, a lot of times in romance novels, you know that there's a formula, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the formulas, is to put them in an insulated environment so that a bond is created.
We love some
Purely
forced
by
proximity.
Yep.
Yes. So it felt a little bit like that to me. Is she, is this where she's going with this? And, is this what the author intended? But at the same time, this is one of those areas where it felt like there was a paragraph in there, in that chapter, in the early part of that chapter, that makes you wonder if the author hadn't actually written more.
That got cut?
That got cut.
Mm.
And I'm sitting here, because remember now, a first-time author, especially one with a publisher, will be given a limit.
Yes. Because
Because
they don't want to spend more money to print their stuff if it's not going to do well. Shorter books.
If you look at, because I did research because I actually have a book series that I've been working on for
Nice.
2 years.
We
3
love.
years now. And because it's a series, I'm actually like, I've got 4 binders.
Hell yeah.
And it's like pieces are going in the different binders for the different books. But it definitely feels like somebody reached into the binder and took something from it. And she's like
Interesting.
sitting here going, okay, that page is missing. I don't remember exactly what's there, or we're going to trim this out, but I don't want to completely just chop it.
Yeah.
So we're going to synopsis this. So that's one of the things. It's one of the things that I noticed.
Yeah, because even in my Goodreads review, I wrote, it felt like with another 50 to 100 pages, we could have taken this cozy and adventurous cottagecore fantasy story to a new level. Yeah, so it feels like things were missing or removed, and I wanted it to be longer. I just wanted more.
You wanted more time with Lore, more time with Asher, more time with Finn and Isla and Griff. the older male figure.
Yeah. Because that was such a wholesome, the dad that was all I disenchanted with life, had let his business kind of fall to the wayside, and she through a hard work and compassion basically reminds him, hey, there's a reason to exist. Not his own family, not his own children didn't do this for him, but some random human girl. But it was still very heartwarming, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that kept me going in the story more than the love interests, which felt very... What is that, the prisoner falling in love with their...
Stockholm Syndrome?
Stockholm.
Felt very Stockholm Syndrome to me. Because she didn't have anyone else. She was used to being in Duskshire with her own people, the other humans, and they had to rely on each other. They were very tight and close-knit community. And then all of a sudden, nothing. She's been stripped of everything. And at a moment of tragedy, which I know for a fucking fact, I will put money on the Fae caused the earthquake.
Oh, 1,000%.
I 100% believe that. Yeah.
Because that was how they thought they were going to get her
There's
out
no
of there.
fucking way
They're like,
now.
she's not turning down our offer to leave when her place is devastated and whatever. Whoever's going to come help us, even without money, it's either they're going to want to leave because their home is now devastated, or we also then have the promise of, yeah, we'll help fix it. Come with us.
I knew they weren't going to fix it.
Oh,
That was
100%.
a lie from the moment he opened his mouth. I saw the words on the page and I said, you liar.
But also, why? I know the sick satisfaction of destroy their world, literally, but they could have also just kidnapped them and made them leave. It's humans against
to maintain the illusion of the subjugation and the illusion of control. Because even how they keep them there is illusion. I love the reveal that it's when you get past this magical barrier, it's there isn't actually this huge threat and this very dangerous forest and all these guards. It's no, there is magic to make you feel like there is. And the minute you try to leave, they're just so magically ramps up all the fear, all the cortisol spikes in them. They feel this threat so much bigger than it actually is. So even if there wasn't a guard there, they'll feel like there is. They'll perceive that they're under threat. They will get lost. They will just shut down under the fear and the panic until someone was around to corral them back to their little home and stuff. I loved that because that felt very just classic manipulation of magic to the nth degree, and I was here for it. And this tracks right with that. They're why would we appear if we just do outright evil things on their face value, then you create martyrs and you create a chance for resistance. But if we make them think that it's still bad, but kind of almost indifferent or not as big of a threat as we are, then they're less likely to radicalize against them, you know?
Two things. One, do you think they dropped the magical barrier to actually get them to leave? To avoid having the fear kick in again? Because I feel like that'd be counterproductive.
When they took them.
I wonder how they... Yeah, I wonder how they convinced them.
Well, with the children, the children probably would just faint. They would have passed out under the fear.
True. Yeah.
I think the second time they just said, fuck it, they did what you said and went in and were we're just abducting everyone now, and did that whole thing. Because they're the first time we played it nice.
I am talking about the second time.
Yeah, I don't think they bothered. At that point, they're one of your kind betrayed us, and we've been one-upped. Because imagine if you're a super prejudiced piece of shit, and the thing that you're super prejudiced against that you feel is so much lesser than you gets one over on you. And you're just going to be livid. So no, we're going to take it out on every other one like them, because that's how their brains work. So I don't think they would have dropped the barrier to get them out of there. They probably just the weak ones. Some people might have a heart attack while we escort them to our kingdom. Who cares?
Wasn't it also always their plan, though, to take the humans for breeding?
No.
I don't remember.
I thought it was.
The steward decided, he came up with that plan. Not the High Chancellor, but the steward.
And the Lord was I was never really into that. And that's why I wanted to do this instead.
I don't want to stick my ding-a-ding in that. Okay.
We have standards.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not sticking my ding-ding in that. It might come back with something.
That part of the book, all of a sudden, because for most of the book, it had felt a bit. Again, it was at times borderline cozy fantasy, just because of the aesthetic and stuff. Not all of them, but then when we got to that part of it, I was oh my god, now this all of a sudden just became very different, because I had such
and the Queen
aggressive, visceral reactions. I was that is just so fucking abhorrent and disgusting to me. And
yeah, that and the Queen were both very
the tone
horrific moments in what was otherwise moderately low stakes
Yeah.
vibes, and then it just went, oh, just kidding, fuck you guys.
Like, it was
Have fun with
reading
the
very
drama.
YA until those things. I was like, all right, we're entering adult territory now.
Yeah.
I get the
Yeah.
feeling that the author may have actually started off considering a YA kind
Mhm.
of genre,
Mhm.
but to be true to her characters, I feel like she may have stepped out of that because when Lore went down that granite slide, you were there when her
Mhm.
starred on it. You
Mhm.
felt her shoulder jerk. It was visceral. It was real. You wanted to catch her. You wanted to stop her fall. When she was standing there trying desperately to catch her breath and her lungs were on fire and her throat burned and she was tearing each breath into her lungs, you were with her. You know that I have to keep running. I have to sprint. I can't stop. And you were with her in it. That was the author. I was like, this author, the one that wrote this passage, I want more of her.
Mhm.
Where is she? Where did you go?
Where did you go? Sometimes you hide, and you just
Where is
hide in
she?
your own words.
Don't be shy, darling. Come out and play with me.
But yeah, I just remember being like, oh, but I think that made it even more effective though. Those moments that it was just felt like all of a sudden just almost like jumping into like cold water, and I was like, oh god, okay, things just got so much more real, and it in a good way, really upped the stakes.
With the peasantry, the common everyday people, she didn't have a problem, did she? They weren't odd or weird. I mean, there was blue children and dryad children and children with antlers and children with long floppy fuzzy ears and blue children. And, there was such a diversity amongst the lower class that she didn't stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It was when she was dealing with the guard and the nobility that her difference became central. The queen and taking Gray and parading him around and tossing him, treated him like if you gave a hamster to a classroom full of elementary school children without any adult supervision, that's what they would have done.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Gray would have died in that situation.
So it's just always something.
He didn't die.
So it was just something so twisted and like super sickening villainy when it's like, hey, I'm gonna do something once and then I keep you here forever because you're gonna want to be here. Like, I don't have to work at all. I've just done something so insidious, and that's so much either mental or magical manipulation. It's like you're gonna choose to stay in you're gonna choose to stay in your own prison and you're gonna like it. And so like, oh, that shit, that's some peak villain shit right there.
Stockholm via heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to the club.
I will say that also, I like that whole sequence. At first, I went into it, I did not like that she's like, I've decided I need to go and do the rescue mission. And then all of a sudden we're there. I was like, whoa, huh? What? Huh? And at first I hated it because I was like, no planning, we're just here. I was like, I'm sorry. And I got the vibe that she's literally just like running in being like, I'm just gonna win with protagonist energy and like figure it out. And then when it's revealed she had a plan, I'm like, okay, good. It's like, hey, so she actually did planning. She took this substance so that she could take the poison, make them think whatever, but then it wore off and now she's fine. And I was like, okay, good. But now I'm trying to decide if that outweighed my just such dislike at the massive jump. Because also, like, it took time to travel there. That's one of the time skips that did not feel like a montage that I saw in my mind and like we're passing time in a way that is enjoyable. That was like the lazy way to pass time. But I think she was doing it for that surprise factor of like, oh, reveal, look, she's actually smart. She had a plan. And I don't know if that was...
Laura's always been smart, but
Yeah.
that's the missing chapter.
That's the missing chapter, exactly.
Right there. Because she left Finn and Glyph. They didn't know where the fuck she was. Nobody knew where she was. How did she get there? Who helped her get there? Who helped her know where there was? Because nobody gave her that.
Because I would have liked to see the planning. I don't think the reveal of I've had a plan all along was worth the very jarring just jump in the missing chapter. Because like you said, you've built up your character that she's supposed to be a smart and independent, like, yes, she's had these figures around her and like men who have helped her and protected her, but she's also done things without them. She hasn't needed them. They're not like crutches. She's not some helpless Bambi despite being outmatched all the time. So I don't think we needed to do it that way.
It feels like she made the decision and she walks out and she goes someplace, and that's the end of the first chapter. That chapter ends with her leaving. She's made the decision. And you're like, okay, now we get into seeing what she does when she has put her foot down. Because you've seen it throughout the book. She's got the spine. You know she's got the power.
Got the guts.
And that I'm done with this bullshit moment is there. And you're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden it's just, there's a chapter missing, maybe two. I get the feeling there was another character in there.
Oh.
Where she had someone that empowered her and gave her what she needed and let her do what she felt she needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And because Finn didn't know where she'd gone or what she had done. We don't know how she found her way to the castle. All of that. There's a chapter missing.
Yeah. Because also, like, I even get, it's like, okay, your magical book and your new burgeoning powers told you about the stuff you would use to absorb the poison, blah, blah, blah. Your magical book, was it mostly just, like, spell work and herbology? Like, did it also just show her maps? Because, like, how the fuck do you know how to get there? You've never left your tiny-ass village before. Even if someone showed you a map one time, that is not enough for me to realistically think you've now gone through a hostile territory where you're also wanted and everyone is looking for you to navigate that easily and in time to save your friend.
Where's the money? Show me the money.
I filled in the blanks in my head a little bit because also, again, if I'm having fun, I don't really criticize that much.
Yeah.
But it did say that within the different, like, herbology listings that it had, that it would show you the region and the time of year to, like, pick it, harvest, whatever. I'm wondering if there was a variation of that where she was like, show me things that grow in the Queen's region, because I think we know what the name of the country is.
Yes,
but I don't remember
yes, we
what it is
do.
off the
I
top
don't
of my head.
remember, but we do know.
And I'm wondering if she was able to request that kind of knowledge to see where she was going.
I mean, she's already shown in the book that she is smart enough to extrapolate.
Mm-hmm.
And she does, while working with Finn, figure out how to work with the book.
Yeah.
They figure out a lot in that time frame.
Yeah.
That Issa and Isla?
Or I read it as like Ela, just like the actress like Ela
I love her.
Fisher, but yeah, Isla is how it is spelled.
Isla. I feel like Isla and Asher left, and they came back. She had been injured. She was fevered. She was sick, and then you have this weird this moment that it's like alternate reality, and suddenly she's like in Asher's lap, legs wrapped around him in this impassioned kiss, and they're both completely natural at this moment. Where's the build up to this? Because when they first kissed, that first kiss that they had, that moment of connection where they accepted that they were physically attracted to each other, there was stuff in between that's just missing in the book. And I feel
Do you think he really was?
I feel like the way the author wrote it, it is very possible that Asher is this supposed fae, but if so, there was literally not, like 85% of the book does not have any hint of that at all. There is nothing to indicate it, other than the fact that he was gone with Isla for so long.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Asher is, but the King, Prince, I actually don't remember what his actual
Lord Man.
Chancellor. Lord Man.
Thank you.
Fluffy Dick Bunny Man.
I'm guessing that Asher is, but because Asher is a character to him, not him, he's not. I think that he was just playing along with that because, like you said, there are moments where there was attraction shown in a mirror. She saw it, but it also is not him. Like he's not real. He's a character.
Yeah. Can we also just talk
Yeah.
about how the other thing that bothered me so much? So she's been building the whole time he's gone this connection with Finn, and it's like, come on, everybody knows, everyone who around you knows. And then Asher comes back immediately, like, see me make out. She's like, oh my god, I missed you. And then of course Finn now feels betrayed because Finn is a fae. Y'all were having a steamy hot makeout session in a like a low income, probably poorly built house, one floor above him. I'm sure he heard the whole fucking thing. So he knows exactly, and if not, he has eyeballs. He can see you looking at each other. He knows what happened. So then, of course, he's understandably colder to her. She's like, why are you acting weird? I thought we were like, and I'm like, what do you mean? Are you stupid? Like, even, like, what? Like, how is she that oblivious? Like, unless it's like, hey, maybe where you come from, maybe in Duskshire, maybe everyone there is polyamorous. So she's like, what do you mean? I can love both of you. It's fine. But like, there's no reason to believe that. That would be great. I'd fuck with that. I'd be so here for that. And imagine it's just miscommunication. She's like, oh my God, I get it. I didn't realize monogamy was a thing that you all did inherently. I'm so sorry. And that would be hysterical. I'd be so here for that. I'm sure that's not what's going to happen.
I would totally be okay with that.
But like, again, because she is clearly throughout the whole book proven she is an intelligent, capable character, and also has good instincts, like not letting the dude touch her, who even though he was being nicer and revealed later he's a bad guy. Like, are you that stupid? You're
I
not.
wonder, she might be though. I wonder, because we see her intelligence in the way she can educate herself, in the way she can navigate social situations of kind of political social things, but I wonder if romantically she's not very smart, like because of, like, talked about how she, like, fumbled around with other boys, things like that. It seems like she hasn't done that in a while, though, because she's been busy with her family at home. And I'm wondering if that is one of her, like, character flaws, if you want to call it that she doesn't really get it. She doesn't think about it. And I'm wondering if that's why she's like, oh, he's upset, but why? I haven't done anything to him. But she doesn't realize she's doing things around him that are affecting
But then there's
him.
the extra element too, because it was also proven that even without her, before she was before she was romantically involved with either of them, they also had beef anyway. Asher and Finn have never gotten along. So it's also like,
that's true.
even without that, like some part of you also knows that element of this whole thing. And I don't know. I guess even if they try and put a case for it later, all I'm saying is I wasn't buying it. The way they had set her up, to me, I didn't buy that. And I'm like, this is, again, the author playing dumb. Or someone's in the author's ear being like, we need a good clueless love triangle. We need people not to communicate because that's how we keep this thing going. But I don't know. That part also just bothered the hell out of me because I just wanted to shake her, reach in the book and be like, girl. Figure it out. Especially because I thought the second one was a superior love interest anyway. So to run back into Asher's arms, I was like, come on, you upgraded. You traded up. If we're doing monogamy, you traded up. Right?
I'm such a sucker for Grumpy Sunshine, and I just want to pinch Finn's cheeks.
And just Grumpy Sunshine, but that we also felt more natural, and I felt that we saw it evolve and we saw the connection. So I was immediately gonna root for them more than I'm gonna root for the one that felt like it was closer to that insta love happened. Like,
it was convenient.
It was because the author was like, this will be a good plot point. Rather, like, the other one felt so organic. And it just kind of happened. Even though it didn't. Like, the author planned that one just as intentionally as the first one. We know this. Yeah. But it didn't feel like it. Anyways. So are we all then reading the sequel? Is our thought like we liked it, we all need to know things?
Okay, yes.
For a second, I do want to give her a second book. I really do.
Yes.
I want to see if that step away from the YA, because if she'd stuck to the YA, if it had been like pitched for young adults, then okay. But that step into the grit, when lore went down that ran its slope, I went in, because it suddenly became real. That moment for me is when she became real. The moment with Milo was so careful.
With who?
When she was first
the boy
in the village, and Milo tried to stop them from taking her, but it was so careful not to really do more than scrape his knee.
Right. I'm not even a kid person. I'm the least maternal human. Like, most of the books, half the time if the kids are getting in the action, I'm like, someone can go ahead and knee this child in the head so we can move on. I don't even care. I'm a terrible person. I'm aware. But even all the moments with her and the kids and Milo in particular, just the sheer, again, like the empathy and the tenderness there. And as someone who has like no maternal bones in her body, I could still recognize and respect all the maternal energy that was going on in that moment. And it was just done in a way, which it's done well, when rather than making me go, turn the page, move on, I was invested. So
Oh yeah,
that says
I
a
wanted
lot.
to eviscerate them in that scene. I was like, how dare you? Because
Touch
also,
the child. Yeah.
you're also not even just like medical fae people. You're adults. You could literally just go and just shove them away. But no, you were like,
Yes.
Punted a
how
child.
dare you? Like that's not necessary. And like, granted, it does do a very good job of displaying and creating the impression
Insta-villain,
that we're
yeah.
supposed to have of those people, and it does give you the pre-existing impressions you're supposed to have when she gets there to their world. So like, I get it, I get the why, but also that was one of those moments where you're reading a book and you're just like, you're so lucky I wasn't there. You're so lucky. Would I have done anything in real life? No.
Listen, honey, I live in Florida. That's one
My
of those
apologies.
moments I go back in that room. I open this door with this key. I open that gun safe with that key. And I open this safe over here with the ammo in it. And we gonna have a talk.
We gonna have a talk.
Come to Jesus moment.
I just want to talk. I just want to talk.
I just want to talk.
Honey,
Cocks the
honey,
gun.
you gonna sit down right there in that chair, chunk chunk. And we gonna have a come to Jesus moment. I will, but I had a southern moment there. Yes,
Also, I love that your
all right?
Floridians sound like my Tennessee family. I'm here for it.
So it's very southern moment there. No, the danger comes when I go to Brooklyn. Your Brooklyn come out because I grew up in Long Island, New York. That's the foundation.
Oh, okay.
So if you hear New Yorker come out, then I'm starting to actually get mad.
It's fair.
But yeah,
It's valid.
the moment with Milo wasn't, for me, that was displaying Laura's true nature. Not the fear that was imposed when she tried to escape the village. That fear was imposed on her. Her survival as a person, her value of her own life meant that she turned away from her desire to seek, to be curious, to be human.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, that was there to show you her core was not broken.
Mm-hmm.
I am not broken, and you will not abuse this child. I will not let you do this. And I think that was the first moment you really see that. That moment when she's like, back up. I will hurt you. She doesn't have any ability to hurt them. Later on, she does get knife training with Asher. And she becomes somebody who not only has that core strength inside of her to take action when action is needed, but she now has the ability to take action.
And I do like that the author takes the time to acknowledge, like the character acknowledges, I know I can do, but I don't know how to do. And she's like, okay, how do we solve it? Teach me. Like, she literally goes, I don't know how to do this thing, but I have the capacity to learn. So teach me. And I feel like that's so overlooked sometimes, or it's just a given a lot of the times, not all the times now, where if you have the like, oh, frail creature, poor thing, and then suddenly they're just a badass, but like, it just kind of happens.
Well, it's also
But this
so
is,
much
like-
of a lot of the like romantasy, fantasy books, just because of the like there are many pros and good things that Book Talk has done for the world, but now the overwhelming predominance of the like, who hurt you, and that mentality of, oh, must have nice
that's
soft
so bad.
nice soft character, so some other character, typically male presenting, can just come in and solve so many of my problems and be so, it's like they simultaneously write characters that it's like, I'm such a badass female generally presenting protagonist, I can do things by myself, except on these moments where I'm gonna let him, because again, but Laura didn't feel like that. Laura was like, yes, there are moments where I require help, and I'm smart enough to know when I need them, but I also know I can make myself more sufficient over time, and if I can do it myself, I would like to. But I also
she needs your
acknowledge
help. She doesn't need you to do it for her.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, which is awesome. Which is one of the reasons I freaking love
That
her.
line is in the book. That line is in the book, but it was so jarring to me that it stuck out.
The who hurt you line.
Asher taught me I could ask for help, or I needed help.
I forgot about that.
There was that line, and you're like, wait, when did that happen? Because it was after the knife fight. It was after the scene where she's like, you know, we've been attacked and I was useless. You were in danger and I was pointless. I need to be able to hold my own. And he's like, okay, I can respect that. See, this is where I'm like, Asher is not why would this High Chancellor go through all of this with her and teach her to use a knife, which if he betrays her, she inevitably is going to fucking turn around and stick in his jaw.
Yeah, but like,
All right?
do we think she's a match for him?
No, again, I'm hoping Finn is endgame. I'm hoping that's where this is going, but who knows?
If they introduce a new love interest in the second book, I'm gonna be pissed.
I will be
Step away from Finn.
The
I
thing
swear
I was
to
gonna say,
God.
the thing that could make me the most upset is if they pull a Hunger Games and Grey turns out to not just be a friend, but it's like, no, I've only been such a good friend to you because I've had feelings for you this whole time.
I'm just
Shut
so
up.
deeply in love with
Shut
you.
up.
Please don't. I've been begging you, if she ever, if there is like some microcosm pocket universe where she hears this, please, never.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh,
That's
I have another very specific one, really random thing that bothered me, and it's such a small thing, has no real bearing overall book. But so Risa in the past, because myself and Marjorie, Creative Desires, who was supposed to join us and has been on the last ones, we're both obsessed with candles, and we're both ambassadors for Cosmic Candles.
Oh.
And a lot of book people in general, book girlies, book fans, are like, we light a candle, we read our book, we get cozy. So we've always ended the book club streams by mentioning like, if there was a candle that goes with this book, what would it be? And it also might be a partial shout out to Cosmic Candles because I can. But so this, I read it, it's a random thought in the back of my mind. And especially because of course, fantasy books, I love to talk about how they smell. And the love interests always smell of like something and something. And it's a big thing. I swear to God, Asher constantly, they said blackberry but the second thing changed every time she mentioned what he smelled like. It was like blackberry and something, blackberry and whatever, which like is fair because we don't smell the same every day. Your environment, your things you're exposed to, but it wasn't like, but it wasn't related to their situation. It wasn't like, oh, we've been in the woods now, so now it's blackberry mixed with like more woodsy smells. Oh, we've been inside for a while, so now it smells like cooking smells because we've been inside mixed with this blackberry. It was always some random shit, and I was like, this is such a random thing, but like, did you not make a decision for what he smells like and then just be consistent with it? Like, why is it half changing? Like, one element was so core because I was thinking, is there a Cosmic Candles that has blackberry in it because of that? And there's not. We're gonna make one hopefully one day, but why was the second part always changing to something random as hell? And am I really weird for being so bothered by this?
I kind of want to go through and collect the different variants that it was, because I wonder if it has to do with her rather than him. If it's something in her mind, like she's either craving something or associating him with something in that moment.
Okay.
And I kind of want to... that's a Reddit moment. I need someone else to go through and collect that for me. I'm not going to reread that for a third time right now.
Also, I love Marjorie's... Oh, wait, Risa, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was like, because Marjorie's in chat message that, not gonna lie, I'd be fine with MMF for this series. So like a throuple happening, if you will. And again, as someone who has lots of friends in the poly community and used to be poly myself, shout out, would solve so many problems, especially in books. But I think it'd be even juicier because again, like Asher and Finn had beef and like disliked each other. So if they become an enemies to lovers within like, not a full on enemies, but like low-key enemy or rivals to lovers-ish in this like MMF throuple, I'd be so here for it.
Was there original conflict? Did that have to do with the education and being accepted to the university? Part of
it was that. Part of it was, again, Isla was so insta buddy with him, and Finn was always just hesitant. He's like, I think she should have been more guarded. I think it's weird that he just so quickly kind of inserted himself into our life. It's just kind of like a bit of, in my opinion, healthy suspicion mixed with him being resentful of Asher's privilege compared to him.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Risa, correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't really know. I don't feel like it was given enough time with Asher on that level. We got so much more with Finn. I really don't know if, and with the way that they changed, the way the whole book shifted away from that, what you perfectly described as a young adult sort of cottagecore comfy theme,
into
something much grittier.
Yeah.
Much more
into drama.
There's texture there. You went from smooth and creamy and sort of easy to swallow.
And very convenient. The first half of the book, a lot of things just felt very convenient and not in a good way to me.
Yeah.
Like how things happened, like A to B, B to C, C to D, and it felt very like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And like very logical kind of steps. And then, again, like the snowball started rolling down the hill, things started picking up, and again, that grit, that texture in the second half.
I wonder if that wasn't planned though, because remember the earthquake was very likely done intentionally. This was an attack. So what if all of these very convenient things were intentional? As for the whole, you remember Mouse at the very last 2 pages? How does he know he calls me Mouse? There's one other person that was at the castle that knew that Asher called Lore Mouse. And it was the maid that was supposed to show Lore around.
Who just spontaneously disappeared and just stopped.
But it wasn't just her, because the steward at one point saw them interact as well. That is recorded in the book.
So did the kids.
Lore.
Yeah.
That's true. So there are, well, no. Did he call her Mouse in front of the kids?
I don't know, but the interactions, obviously they saw the friendliness between them.
Yeah, there was a lot of friendliness between the 4 of them. So it's very possible that the children did see it as well. So it's not impossible that the Lord Chancellor with his magic also was spying on her. It just idly, randomly, and caught that.
Yeah, that's true.
I just do not feel like that character would have pretended to be Asher with her for so long. Long enough for her to discover about the lie. She found out about the lie. She found out about if he knew she found out about the lie to the village, what made him think she would never find out if he took the other people? What would make him believe that she would never happen to discover that he could shift to Asher and back?
I wonder if part of it is willful ignorance of thinking humans are just incapable of being that clever. Even after she figured out one thing, he could have been like,
well, there's no way she'd do it a second time.
Easy peasy, like, whatever. So we lied. Shocker. She'll never figure out the actual plot, kind of thing. And then part of it is they have a very, very long lifespan, so far as the book tells us. And for him, this is like a little blip of time. I'm wondering if he was just bored. Like, if he literally was like, let's play social experiment, and let's see what happens if I give myself a new toy to play with. What are they going to do? How are they going to react? If I'm nice to them, what can I learn?
Excuse me.
Like, it's almost like a research project for them, especially since they can't get to all the books that they're trying to get her to get to.
Yes.
I'd be very curious if we get a POV switch in book 2. I don't think we will, but I crave it.
I want to stick with lore because of the nature of the type of story that it is.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having that nebulous unknown. And with the way that the world is, you need that nebulous unknown in the other characters.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the rest of the world to build on. You just have them.
Yeah. But, okay, listen, I'm just saying, girly author, if you're watching this, you could pull a Stephanie Meyer and just give me, like, Midnight Sun Lord of the Wilds edition and just, like, give me the other POV. I crave the background. I crave the knowledge. I want to know how this unfolds for other characters.
Author lady, please tell her no. Just no. Give her a head pat, say no.
Give her a head pat.
Just spray me like a cat. Snap it. Take what you get. Be happy.
Stay out of everybody else's dinner. Like I treat my cat Fia. I flick the corner of your ear. Go away. Let him eat his dinner.
No.
So now that we've picked a few books for book club that have sequels all coming out relatively soon, I think what I might do is because most of them, again, for When the Moon Hatched and for this one, I plan on reading the sequel. For The Stars Are Dying, I am not, because I did not care enough to get invested.
I'll let you know how it is.
Exactly. You can just tell me. I'll take the clip notes. But for the ones that I do choose to read the sequel, would people be interested? So in this case, like when this sequel comes out, I hit up you two again, and we do not so much like on a time thing, but just be like everyone let us know when we've all finished this book, and we come back for not necessarily like the monthly book club. I won't be like the book that everyone's reading, but yeah, a bonus stream where we follow up on sequels of the ones we've read for those of us that are going to keep reading them, and we'll do the same for When the Moon Hatched with Marjorie and with Kalina, and be like, hey, whoever's the last to finish it, just like I'll start like a little group chat, or we can put in the Discord. Let me know when you finished it, and I'll keep track, and we'll see when we read them all. Come back and reconvene for the sequels.
Yes, I volunteer.
Excellent.
Yes.
I'd be willing.
Excellent. Because again, especially ones like this where I feel like the thing that we all agree on is that like there is something here and there is lots of potential for this author, especially. Yeah. So we want to see, do we go in the right direction? Do we go this way or do we go this way? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah. I'm hoping that it's very, I'm sorry for a lack of better comparison right now, but contemporary happening. I hope it's an ACOTAR type situation where we have a good setup and some flaws, but then it just improves rather than completely deteriorates.
Yes.
Because I really, really want these people to do well. Especially because it'll be her second book when the sequel comes out. And I'm like, girl, you learned so much. You've got so much experience now. Put it to use. Let's go.
Hopefully can tell the person ripping chapters out of your book, you can be like, you know what? No.
That's the ear you're flicking. Get away from my book.
Hold on. I will stand by this woman. I will bring my big stick. I'll bring my tea kettle for her and my big stick for whoever's like, no, you need to cut that out, or do you really feel like this is necessary to get into? My answer is yes. She said it when she wrote it. It's necessary.
Mm-hmm. In fact, like
not that it's longer book now.
Yeah, not that authors should be in their own review spaces for your own mental health, and so that readers can say what they want. But if for some reason, if you watch this video and you're like, I need people in my corner when you go to bat with your next like publisher or editor, we'll do it. We'll tell them to shut the fuck up.
We got you.
We can arc read for you and be like, no, this absolutely deserves to stay in there. 100%.
This is required, and here are our very scholarly notes as to why, and also you're doing great, honey.
In our very qualified opinion, as you know, just people who read books. Although Riza is writing a book, so Riza is probably more qualified. But
lifetime reader and writers.
I will beat an editor to death with my bookshelves.
Yes.
I do not have a library card. I am not allowed. Because why? Because I don't often give the books. Dragon. I am not a worm. I am a dragon because I will keep it.
This is not my only shelf. I agree. My paper cuts if you fuck with this second book. I swear to God, editors.
I have three full shelves in this house, and then I have 8 cubic feet of boxes and books. Or books in boxes. That's the correct order of words in that sentence. Waiting for the shelves that are going to be built in this room to be built. So, and that was after I tried to ruthlessly unhaul and donate a bunch of books, and I failed partially. I donated at least one. Well, not donated, that one. You were gracious enough to purchase it from me, which I appreciate.
Absolutely.
But yes, I relate. So, before we wrap up for today, is there any other like general topics we didn't touch on, or any final thoughts you guys have about this book or the upcoming sequel? What are you most looking forward to?
Bookworm Club, I vote. Worm Club.
I think one of the things that we didn't entirely touch on, and it may just be because like that's not the point of the. Really? Why are you gonna tell me that? Sorry, I just read chat.
There's apparently a Fairy Loot edition of this book somewhere.
It's fine. I don't need to make money. It's okay. Is that as a white person reading Black characters, it was not something that I was like, oh, that's right, they're Black characters. Like, these are things I need to remember. It was, and this is such a weird perspective to take, and I understand the way I'm saying this is not the most eloquent. It was such a natural and non-abrasive way to read a character that I didn't automatically assume or know was white. And it was just like, okay, it wasn't like a thing that the book focused on, which it obviously shouldn't be. But I did take the time in my second reading to be like, okay, yeah, these are elements that like you wouldn't discuss with white characters, or that are just completely ignored with white characters.
To me, the thing that I so appreciated, again, not from a personal experience as someone who's very obviously white, not a racial minority, but that she mentions like one of the parts of being taken from her, because on the surface level, one might be like, oh, that's such a frivolous, like silly concern, but it goes so far beyond that. Was her talking about and needing to find ways to care for her hair. in a foreign
Yes,
place
hair
because of
care.
course
Yep.
like black femme hair very different from white people hair from other hair, and it's historically even in modern day world women still face prejudice all the time for like
Yes.
having more naturally looking like black hairstyles. So
Yes.
that and it wasn't like, you know, obviously constant all the time, but whenever it was touched on, because I also feel like I go visit my family, like go visit my mom for a week, and if I forget some of like my skincare, I'm still like, oh no, and I get upset, like I'm gonna break out, this is gonna happen, like your routines, things that you need. So that was the only time where it was like the rest of the time I forgot, because obviously there's like racial prejudice as an underlying theme of the book, but from the fantasy lens of like human v fae to mirror the prejudices in, you know, a real society. But the only other time where it was really like, hey, reminder, this is like a black protagonist, this is like a black woman's perspective, that was the only times where it would become very clear and jumped out. But even though it's not something I relate to, I very much appreciated and enjoyed reading about it, and I understood the struggle if I've never experienced it. Like I've heard all about it, I've seen it in media, people talked about it, like get it, and I appreciated that inclusion in there, even though it wasn't there for me. It's there for someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm mixed, I don't have the textured hair of a black woman. Because that side of my family is black Native American. So I have hair. It's hair. My hair has its own gamer tag. It is the Kraken. Why? Occasionally it will try to eat my microphone, my headphones. If it's down, it'll try to eat my freaking mouse. All right. The Kraken will reach out and touch you. It takes your glasses. It'll take your ears.
Mine now.
Yeah. So when she starts talking about these actually very real needs for anybody with super curly hair.
Yeah.
Which anytime I come across a character with super curly hair, I get so excited. Because I'm like, hey, I totally get that. The struggle is real. And I feel with those characters because I live that. So it is definitely something that I took note of. Another one is you're right. She doesn't make it. She's not grinding your nose into it. It is natural for Laura. It's normal for her. So the dark fae having skin tones similar to the skin tones she's used to, it's just that's the accepted way. But it's not the only way. And she very normally, very casually introduces that that's not the only. So the entire world isn't a heavy melanin world, okay? Like she talks about the orc children and the blue children and a green one and
the druid,
So she's the dryads. Each one of them looks different, and they're very, very diverse. And the author did such a wonderful job in seamlessly showing that out there in the real world, outside the palace, there is this humongous diversity.
Or even the food, when she goes to the market and tries like dumplings, basically like the in-world version of dumplings for the first time, and just talking about how insane. Even Asher's like, "Are you okay?" As she's having like a practically orgasmic experience, but it's because like there are spices and flavors in there that she has never ever had before, because she comes from this very small insular place and hasn't been exposed to it.
So hungry,
right? I wanted dumplings so
I'm
bad.
thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, what am I having for dinner tonight? Actually,
I have bao buns. I'm gonna have bao buns after stream.
No, it's okay. Just make me jealous. It's cool. It's fine.
That's okay. You know what? You can come over and we can sit and review the book again together.
There you go.
Right there.
Okay, so guys, I gotta head out. So I'm gonna go drive. So
I gotta drive. You gotta put some duct tape on your car and go drive.
let's put some duct tape on my car.
Side conversation that was had before stream. Y'all are like, what are you talking about?
Don't worry about it.
All right, and then Marjorie, feel free to give us your final thoughts, and also just what you're explaining. Get your just overall star rating, what you gave this book, just because I'm curious. Again, ratings are so subjective and really mean nothing, but I am curious. And then last but not least, so like I said, I was trying to think of what a candle I would pair with this book for reading and the vibes. And again, just because I'm heavily biased, but also support, women-owned small businesses, focusing on cosmic candles. There was none with blackberry in them, so I couldn't do that. But I was torn between, part of it was like where she's from and like her profession and the vibes of the book. There's a candle very popular, called Lavender Apothecary, and just because apothecary's in the name, and she talks about all the herbal things, and like, of course, lavender is used for lots of things like sleep and all sorts of stuff, but also just because of the generally, like, there's multiple settings, but predominantly a more, you know, forestish-esque or like forest adjacent setting to this book, a woodsy vibe. The other one I would go with would be the Slothy Oak candle that Cosmic Candle sells, which also part of any candle goes towards saving sloths and like charities. That's what we like. Cosmic Candles has saved 3 sloths now, I think. Aww. Which is pretty cute. So yeah, if you're looking for a candle to burn while you read this book, if what we've said has made you want to read it, and you didn't mind the spoilers, or if you're rereading it and you want something that goes well with the vibe, shout out to either Lavender Apothecary, which is seasonal, so I don't think it's in the shop right now, but it does cyclical, comes back. Slothy Oak is there year round, I think, because of the charity tie-in, and it's a collaboration with another creator, so you can get Slothy Oak whenever. But be on the lookout.
I have one that might have one of those bourbon.
There's lots with bourbon in the notes.
And in the book, his scent holds bourbon notes.
Hold up, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna find out for you because you can search on the website by like vibe or by like ingredient.
That's cool.
So because there's one that's like seasonal, or shop by vibe. So there's earthy, floral. This one just calls musk and has a bourbon thing on the front. So, nice. Of course, Shadow Daddy is the first one that's there.
As it should be.
So the Dionysus candle, also known as Rage Quit candle, has bourbon in it. Notes of citrus, dark oak, not oat, oak with a K. Citrus, dark oak, bourbon, and bergamot.
Also, I will say, although we gave spoilers for this book, we did not specify a lot of things, including the actual main plot line of the book. Yeah. So I highly encourage people to go read it. And even though we gave you some clues about what's happening, we didn't actually tell you anything that interesting overall. So please go read it. It is delicious.
Oh, there's also one more candle with bourbon in it. Morning Ritual, bourbon, vanilla, and wood.
Ooh.
I could see that one because that one fits with the Exiled Dragon Tavern.
Oh, I love a good tavern vibe.
And remember, in the kitchen they had a dandelion and lavender tea the first day she arrived.
Yep.
So there you go. All sorts of good vibes. If you, first of all, anyone who's been here, been lurking, came in with the raid and stuck around, thank you. We appreciate you. Check out these wonderful creators, Risa Phoenix and RissaRoo. Please check them out. Creative Desires as well, who has been in the chat with us today. Couldn't join in person due to tech issues. And last but not least, please join our Discord if you want to get in on the reading fun, if you want to help us vote on what books we read next. Oh, of course, I need each of you to give me a book recommendation for the next list. So Risa, whenever people come on, I let them pick a book that's going to be in the ones we're voting for next month. So do tell me.
Aren't you
That's for March. The book we're gonna read in March. I'm auto-picking.
Okay.
That's everything.
I wasn't sure if it was the book we were discussing.
Because it only comes out like March 14th or March 18th or something. So we're only gonna have like 2-ish weeks-ish to read it. Yeah. But yeah, that one like comes out in March. So the one we're gonna read in February and talk about in March is one we're voting on next. So
Gotcha. Okay.
If you both want to tell me what book you'd like to submit for the list, and then just like send me in chat what the book is later. I did not put a pen and paper in front of me because I effed up.
Do you want to stay in the sort of fantasy?
No rules, no holds barred. Pick whatever you want.
Like, for this discussion, I also suggested the Heaven and Earth grocery store, which is not at all fantasy.
Oh my god. I had a last minute, like, unexpected trip to go see my mom in Florida, ironically. Risa, like, a week or two ago, because there was, like, a family thing. Everything's fine now, so it's all good. But I went there, and I went to Barnes & Noble, just because I always treat myself, look around, and see what their exclusive editions they have that Canada doesn't get. And I spent an hour in the store. I finally picked my one purchase, and I was happy. And then as I'm leaving, the one shelf I missed had a signed by the author copy of the Heaven and Earth grocery store. And I was like, fuck. And I was so mad. I'm like, I would have picked that one. God. And I was so sad.
I listened to the audiobook and I actively remember just like tears as I'm doing my walk around a lake, and I'm just like, okay, everything's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Ugh.
Oh my god, Marjorie, I already wanted to put that on the list, so that's great. Speaking of tears, I know for a fact that whole trilogy, the Poppy War trilogy, emotionally destroys everyone who reads it, no matter how much you think you've protected your soul. So I'm ready.
I love a good dose of emotional damage.
Right? And I've heard it's even the most hardened readers I know of, like, picked up and like, fuck you, R.F. Kuang, but in the best way. Is how they just, and again, I love R.F. Kuang's books so much. Her books are one of those that, the ones I've read, even if I didn't, like, have the best time while I was reading them, they have all taught me something and, like, fundamentally literally changed me as a human being, which is pretty impressive. So anyway, Risa, if you pick any book and it's going on our list that people can vote for to read this month, tell me what your pick is.
Struggling between two different books that I feel are like absolute page turners.
Ooh.
And I'm really struggling with this one because...
Well, then, if you want, you can give both, and then maybe I'll be the tiebreaker, or I'll put them both on there and we just have more than the normal number to vote between this month.
Because see, there's two book series. There's the Bethany Ann Bitch Queen series, which is very kind of vampire sci-fi, modern futuristic.
You said vampires, I'm in. I'm a slut for vampires. We'll read anything. Anything with a vampire.
Oh. And then we also have the other one, which is Jane Yellowrock's Skinwalker. Cherokee Skinwalker, Rogue Vampire Hunter.
Like, ooh. Again, slut for vampires or vampire adjacent? I'll read it. I fuck with it.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link to both of them and then just like let the community like look them over and go, okay, yes, I would vote for this one over that one.
Yes,
okay?
Please. Put them either in the chat that goes with this like voice channel, or you can put them in the TBR section of the Discord, and then in the book recs, I'll make the formal list after this. So is that your submission in the chat, Rissa? Wayward?
Yeah, so Wayward is the second one that I saw while I was scrolling through my want to reads.
Okay.
God of the Woods by Liz Moore is my like top recommendation.
Okay. That one, I feel like it rings a bell. I'm gonna look it up.
I've
and
been
see.
seeing the cover everywhere, and the first time I saw it was when I walked into Barnes & Noble, and I walked up to the table and I went, ooh, that's pretty. Because I do judge books by their covers. I listen and I do judge. It just is.
Oh, it is a pretty cover.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous cover, but it's also slightly out of my current norm, as far as I know, because the premise is about a child who goes missing at a camp.
Yes, it is.
And it's the sibling of another child that has gone missing at the camp as well. And so I want to dip a toe back into like little thriller, mystery, maybe horror. I didn't read any further because I didn't want to know. I also don't read the backs of books a lot. I just kind of pick them up because they're pretty. So...
That one, the description is: when a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. Early morning, August 1975, a camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the summer camp and employs most of the region's residents. This isn't the first time a Van Laar has disappeared. As a panicked search begins, a thrilling drama unfolds, chasing down the layered secrets of the Van Laar family and the blue-collar community working in its shadow.
I do love me some family drama.
Cool. Okay. Then it sounds like some good suggestions. And of course, Marjorie submitted Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, which I was already tempted to be one of the ones I picked on there anyway. So, for sure. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, I'm going to put this one on there. But I will understand this one does not get votes because, again, brand new author. Also, I don't think it's on like Kindle Unlimited or anything because first ever book from a indie author. I don't think it is. I haven't checked though. But anyways, yes, A Tale of Fragile Fate is also Twitch authored. I did know that. It's been on there a few times. I
put that in I was gonna say I put that in like an earlier list.
Yeah, it's been on there a few times. I put it on our list and it has never won yet. But again, as we read more of these and they stay on there,
we'll get there.
And the book we were talking about today is on sale on Kindle, apparently. Nice. So if you want to read Lord of the Wilds and you're an e-reader person, then
$2, let's go.
thanks for
Don't
hanging
buy
out,
coffee, buy
everybody.
books.
Yeah, thanks to our creators for joining me. And as always, the Discord invite is always open, never expires. If you have friends who are readers, even if they're not like Twitch people, you don't have to be a Twitch streamer to be a part of, it's called Twitch Book Club. There's a role for you in the Discord as just fellow readers. You can just be there to talk about books, read books. You don't have to be a creator. So if that's what's been holding you back from joining the Discord, do not worry about it. We welcome anyone and everyone. Unless you're someone who's there to be one of those people who has like elitist gatekeeping opinions on reading, like audiobooks aren't reading or something, like then fuck off. We don't want you. But anyone else,
We won't get along. Don't do that.
you're welcome
My
to
husband
join.
is severely dyslexic. Anybody who says that audiobooks aren't reading can meet me outside and I'll discuss the matter. Me, you, the local forest, your face. Good times.
Exactly. Thank you, Rissa. Thank you, Riza. And once we have voted on our next book, I usually leave the voting up for a few days. Make sure everyone gets a chance to see it. I will announce it both in the Discord and on other socials, so you can see what we're going to be reading and discussing in March. And whatever it is, it'll be, unless we also happen to pick a nonfiction book. So again, I try and put at least one from all major genres on the list so that there's something for everyone. But if the trend continues, then we're going to break our pattern. And then in March, we're going to be reading our first nonfiction book together. And I'm very excited. So thanks for hanging, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for chats.